Join our incredible moms who have mastered the art of balancing motherhood in today's episode of We Time Convo.
My name is Debbie.
This is Liza.
Moms sharing inspiring stories, practical tips, and a few hilarious anecdotes. And it all begins now.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to We Time Convo. We have two very special guests here today. First, I have Debbie and Peter here in their Niners gear.
Yes.
Sorry for the loss.
I know. It was very painful to watch.
That's our first thing Peter said when he walked in. I was like, oh, I guess we lost. But this is my first time meeting Peter. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And then we have Debbie's cousin, Melanie. We met outside. We chit-chat a little bit, sitting in the sun. Yes, it was hot.
No worries. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Before we kick in on our episode about co-parenting, I thought it would be really great if we can get some introductions from you guys directly. Mel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here on your podcast today. My name is Melanie and I'm Debbie's cousin. I'm one of her older cousins. Her dad and my mom are siblings. I have two kids. One is 23 years old and one is 19. It's nice that they're much older now, so I have some of my free time back. I am actually in transition with work. I'm so enjoying my time off until hopefully next year.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us. And
Thank you for having me.
Peter, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Peter, and I'm two kids to JV and Mia, and one is about to be 13, and one is about to be almost 10. And I'm married to Debbie, and we're working our way to be co-parenting. So, yeah.
So, Liza, when we were talking about co-parenting as one of our episodes, the first person that actually came into my mind was my cousin Mel. And the reason being is she really has a very unique and like something that I haven't seen from a co-parenting perspective. And so I've seen it from a historical point of view, like not just recently, but it's been obviously you have older kids. So Mel, when did you and your ex-husband actually divorce, where co-parenting obviously came much more prominent because of the divorce?
We separated in 2008. However, our divorce wasn't finalized until 2013. So during that time, we had a court agreement in regards to what the arrangement for the kids were going to be, our schedule, holidays, everything like that. But we found that even though we had a set schedule, we didn't really keep it. We looked at it more as far as what would make the kids happy. If the kids wanted to stay at my house, most of the week, for example, because most of their stuff remained at my house versus their dad, we allowed that. I mean, it was difficult at first because, everyone was hurt. They had hurt feelings. And I know, and I'm guilty of this, where you sometimes use the kids as a way to, kind of like hurt the other parent back. But then as time goes on, you realize that, that's not fair. You put your feelings aside for one another and you really work together as a team to make whatever it takes to make things work for your own respective families.
Yeah. No, and I saw this actually unfold, and not just like glimpses of it, but throughout the years that she and her ex were actually co-parenting. And then, obviously I got together with Peter. I saw kind of a different type of co-parenting from his perspective with his ex-wife. So I thought that like the two dynamics between you two would be a really good perspective.
And then for me, I'm newly co-parenting. It's been a year, so
it'll take time.
Different experiences. Yeah, so it's going to be a really good conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm also experiencing it myself. So this is like a room full of co-parenting. And I think we bring different perspectives of how we deal and manage, because it definitely is not easy. Right. Because it's not, everybody says it's all about the kids, but Mel, you make a really good point. There's also our feelings, right? And so you have to somehow set aside some of those feelings in order to get past it for the kids. And what I've realized is the outside people looking in may not understand, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I'm sure you got a lot of push from people in regards to the dynamics that you had.
Right.
Because it actually didn't look like what we would normally expect.
Yes.
And I agree. Coming from a big family, somebody always has something to say, right? And like Melanie, for me, my biggest thing was the kids. I need stability for the kids. So whatever environment that they're comfortable in, and not everyone's going to agree with me on this. And, you know, me and David have been broken up for about a year. He's been moved out for about a year. The kids, my house is their safe space. So if he wants to spend time with the kids, and they're comfortable at home, they can spend time in the home. There are times where, you know, I am out on vacation for a weekend. He'll stay at my house for the weekend. And I know people have stuff to say
about it, right?
But I want them to be where they're comfortable at, and that's home. And later on, I know, because I want what's best for the kids, what's comfortable for them. And a lot of people will not like how we have everything set up, but that's just how it is now.
Well, my ex-husband stays at my house too when he's in town. So it's fine.
All right. See, then it's okay. But we just kind of have to put aside what people are going to say, and always in the end, it's all about the kids.
Kids. So Peter, like, your situation is actually a little different from Mel, right? Just because I believe your biggest challenge is the distance from your kids.
Correct.
Even though they are in the Bay Area, they're not that easily in the Bay Area.
Yes.
Where do they, like, how far?
So they live in Roanoke Park, so which is about
it's like Santa Rosa area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So which is about hour and 30 minutes away. So their mom understand that, you know, with my career, they understand that I work on the weekend and I do my best to have them.
And I'm a witness to that too, because his work is on the weekends where kids usually are free. I think the challenge is the distance, but also each of their schedules. So when he's free, which typically is on a weekday, they're in school. And obviously their primary focus, and this is from you and your ex-wife, is school stability. I think that's like the biggest thing. When I think about co-parenting, it comes to me, the stability for the kids, because I can see like how difficult and challenging it is for them to be in one environment versus another environment. In regards to you, Peter, their stability is at their mom's.
Yes, correct.
So,
well, and then there's summers, right? You get summers, and then they get tons of vacations.
So like this
winter
year,
break.
instant, the kids will be like, we agree upon having the kids with me first time as a Thanksgiving. Before, they were always with me Thanksgiving Eve, and then on Thanksgiving Day they're with their mom. So this is the first year that we both agree up on that their mom is, hey, they can go with you on the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
she seems pretty flexible. Is she pretty flexible?
She's somewhat flexible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
she's flexible as long as it doesn't interfere with their schedule. So, you know, her first priority is to make sure that they stay within their schedule. And it's a little challenging for us because I have a daughter. So when we go on vacation, we really need to make sure that the dates all align in regards to because her philosophy is it doesn't make sense for them to miss school for vacation, right? So we just need to work around some of those safeguards that she has. How do you guys manage like holidays? Because you brought up Thanksgiving. This is the first time that they'll be with us, but on the holidays, did you find it tough, Mel?
No, when we actually had the court document on who's going to have the kids on certain holidays, actually, it was funny because our attorney says, okay, you guys are so easy. Both of our attorneys, Randy and I, my ex-husband, we just actually decided on, okay, which holidays. We had a little formula based on the year of our birthday. So I have like even, he had odd. So we rotated on the Thanksgiving. So that was our Thanksgiving schedule. But we found throughout the years that the kids always wanted to spend Thanksgiving with their dad, regardless of the year. They would go to his family in LA, and I was completely okay with that. So again, the focus was more of what the kids wanted.
Got it. And Liza, I know yours is recently just kind of co-parenting. Have you figured out has holidays been a sticky
in
schedule?
the past year, it's been pretty easy. David literally lives like 10, 15 minutes away from the house. So for Thanksgiving last year, what we did was the kids did lunch with me and then dinner at his parents' house. And then same with Christmas. We always celebrate Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve with me and then Christmas Day with him. So it's been kind of like a split situation and it has never been an issue.
Yeah, that's the same with me and Randy as well. My family celebrates Christmas Eve. So the kids are with me, Christmas Day with him. His birthday is New Year's Eve. So that was, automatic, right? The kids would be with him and then I would have New Year's Day.
Got it. And you?
So
obviously.
with me is obviously we have a verbal agreement with me and Raina. And usually we come up on agreements. I'll have them on a Thanksgiving Eve or Christmas Eve, and she'll basically have them on Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day. So that's never been issue with that. So it's just a verbal agreement. It's a neutral agreement that we always have. So yeah.
Do you guys find co-parenting hard?
It was hard in the beginning, I would say, but it's been about I would say more than 10 years since Randy and I have, got along. I mean, we're at a very much better place now to the point where we go on vacations together. We do dinners together with the kids. Kids are older, so it's like we're just hanging out with our friends. So we're just like all buddies, and it just makes it a lot better, in your relationship with your kids, with your whole family. And again, like you said, Liza, right? I know that a lot of people will say, okay, that's so odd. Why are you going on a family or vacation with your ex? We have to understand, or people need to understand at times that, if this is the structure or what works for us, that's all that matters, because it doesn't work like that for, other people. But for us, this is what works, and, we're happy with it.
And I think it's great for the kids to see what a healthy co-parenting relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Peter, yours is actually opposite. Yes.
Yes. Me and my ex, we agree upon verbal is if the kids have plans or if they have plans, if their side of the family have plans, I'll be like, okay, I'm open to it. You guys do your thing. If we have plans, and my ex is usually be like, hey, if you guys want to do something with the kids, you guys are more than welcome to pick them up and have them this and that. So usually it's a verbal agreement between us. So,
but it's very different from kind of where Mel's situation from a co-parenting perspective is, where she takes vacations with her ex and obviously their kids. Do you see yourself doing that with Raina?
No.
No, and you keep it separate.
Yeah.
Correct. She definitely lived her own separate life, and me and the kids and myself with my significant other, we live our own separate life.
And like
we
what Mel
don't
said,
see that.
That works for you.
That works for both of us,
Yes.
right? So it's a neutral agreement that we have.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the kids, like game or
Graduation.
sports, graduation, if their significant other or my significant other want to be together, then that's understandable.
Yeah.
But
So
when it comes to do vacation and spending time, it's separate.
So I can attest, his oldest, Javian, actually he had his graduation, and me and Vanessa went with him to support Javian in graduating.
He was very happy.
And, she was there with her side of the family and her dad. And actually what ended up happening was after graduation, we wanted to take Javian out for lunch. And it so happened that it just didn't make sense from a timing perspective, because it would be out of the way for us as we head back. We actually asked if she'd like to join us, and she understood, it would be a challenge for us to take him and then take him back. So she said, yeah, sure. Why not? So we actually had lunch with her and her dad, Javian, and then us. And I can tell Javian was really happy about it. Like, because I don't think he actually sees both parents together. He's fully aware that, they have separate lives. But seeing them together, I can tell that he really liked it, and it was really because of him. So I think even though you guys aren't close enough where Mel can take actually vacation with our ex, it's still nice that you guys are cordial enough that you guys can still be together for your
in
son.
the same area, space, because a lot of people
can't.
Don't.
Just can't.
That's
right?
sad.
Yeah. So I can attest that I can see that is super important. Like, if I think he'd prefer that. But obviously, if you're not in good terms, it's probably best to kind of have your own lane.
Yeah, well, in my situation, me and my ex, we were together for 18 years. And so he's very close with my family. He's a godfather to a lot of like my family. And when we split up, I let him know, hey, that doesn't exclude you
From
You're
going.
not breaking up from my family. It's just me. So you can still go to, you can still see your godchildren. You can still go to their parties. They can invite you. Well, that's not going to change. So he still goes to family functions, but
that's challenging.
it is. It is, but like I said, we've been broken up for over a year. We're still trying to figure out this co-parenting situation. And I actually have another, I co-parented with Haley's dad, and that wasn't a very good co-parent. It wasn't healthy co-parenting. I communicated with him through his mom, Haley's grandma. And as soon as she turned 18, it was like, peace out. Like, I don't need to talk to you anymore. You don't need to talk to me. We don't have to have a relationship. Haley's 18.
Yep. Living
with your kids every day for however many years they are, to all of a sudden in a split household.
Yep.
So of course, and it's very selfish of me to say this, and I know I'm not the only parent that thought this, but for me, it was kind of like, it would be so much easier if he just was an absent parent. It would be so easy for me if he just wasn't there for his kids, but he loves his kids. He's a great dad. There's no doubt. So I think us wanting to spend more time with the kids is the biggest challenge for me.
Yep. Yeah. No, I can.
Yeah. And I think you guys, Mel and Peter,
Mm-hmm.
you agree with that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, have you guys ever been in a situation where, generally you would like to believe that you guys have all the same philosophies of how to handle things, how things need to be done with your kids. But in cases where there isn't, I mean, have you ever had a case where you're like, no, we're not doing that with our kids? And they're like, yes, this is how we're going to do it with our kids. How do you, well, first, have you guys ever encountered a situation where you were strongly opposed to something?
I haven't yet. No.
I have.
Oh, you have?
I have.
Let's hear it, Mel.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, I was fortunate to have my parents to help pick up the kids when they were younger from school. Randy really didn't have that luxury. Sometimes it would be his mom, but she lived far away. And so in order to so-called fulfill his obligation, he thought it was a great idea to have, I don't remember what it was for kids, but it was like a similar to Uber. Okay. So you're talking about my kids being
At the time.
Yeah. They were in elementary and maybe junior high. And was in junior high. But anyhow, he wanted Uber to pick them up. And I was completely against that because, again, it's like, okay, so what? They get in an Uber and something happens to them, even though you're telling me that you can track them. Okay, but if something happens...
he believed that it was a really safe alternative.
Absolutely. And, I was really against it. Do they really do background checks? And maybe this was like during the time where Uber was just barely even like, coming out, not as like popular as it is now. But I remember being so against it. And then he's also like pushing forward, feeling like he has no other choice.
Yes.
Right?
Because he feels like you're tying his...
Yes.
He knows that that he doesn't have that luxury that you have.
Right. He doesn't have other options. And so, I think maybe the kids did it twice, but was so against it. And I even told him, I go, look, if you're going to continue this, I'm going to take you to court. And I'm going to have the court stop this.
So you put your foot down.
Oh, yeah. And I was willing to, go to court and fight him so that my kids didn't have to go in an Uber to go home.
And was it, because again, you're dealing with your feelings.
Yes.
And the kids. And did you feel like in a way you were tying his hand, like for whatever reason? Or did you really feel like this is not the answer, that because you really felt that there was a safety issue?
No, absolutely. The first and foremost is my kids' safety. I mean, Randy has other means to have secured, another, whether it's another person or working with my parents, but he was like, no, I'm going to take it on my own. I'm going to go ahead and use this resource. It's safe, so forth and so forth. But I didn't believe in that. And even up to this day, I mean, I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yes.
I mean, I just loaded up like Lyft, like probably like last year. And how long has it been? And I still hate using it, right? So again, it was really more of a safety issue. And I was willing to really go to court, to take him to court to have that stop.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so did you actually have to pursue it, or did he?
No.
He found another alternative.
Yeah. He didn't want to go through legal measures.
Got it. So you really had to put your foot down,
mm-hmm.
Because you could see that he was willing to keep going.
Yep.
Got it. Wow. And Peter, how about you?
We don't have any disagreement, anything like that.
So you and Reina don't disagree on anything?
No. I'm very flexible.
But why is that? Is that because you guys just are aligned, or is it just because you just feel like because they're with her, you're more flexible in regards to where
the
it
kids
goes?
are more with her, and I'm very, easy with her decision and the way the kids are, and the way she's raising them. So yeah, I don't have any disagreement when it comes to decision when it comes to the kids.
And I would have to say that she's pretty focused on giving them the stability and keeping them safe. Like, it's very clear, like, that's her priority.
Correct.
So as long as that continues,
correct,
that's fine. I did also notice that now Javian, because Javian's turning 13, right?
Correct. Yes.
She's allowing more and more, let's see what Javian wants.
Yes.
Like, because I think now she feels comfortable. He's getting to an age of where he can actually make certain decisions himself.
Correct.
So I actually see her progressing in that direction.
Correct. And,
so
you see that when Javian is with her, he's a boys of being in the house, and he's older, and he take care of his sister, and he's also understanding what the mom and what his dads want, and he's more trustworthy or decision that he's gonna make. So he's understanding, like, okay, now I'm the oldest in the family, me and my sister, and I think I have to be more responsible, and I have to be more open to what my mom and dad want. And he's more of a responsible kid. So I see,
Yeah.
and we both can see that every
At 13,
time
that's
he
really
come
good.
over.
Yeah.
Yes.
and Liza, you haven't gone through that space yet where you're like in disagreement on a certain issue?
I think the biggest thing probably right now is just schedule. We don't have anything through the court. For me, I just try to keep it away, keep it drama free. If we can agree on it together, let's do it. I just don't want that having to go to court.
That's
having to
another
get lawyers.
headache and challenge, right?
So I told him, like, look, if we could sit down and be adults about it, figure this out, and if we can come to an agreement. But I think now he's starting to want the kids more and more days, and I'm like, no. And I like,
why is that?
And I would love for them to be with equally,
Yeah.
But then now it's just kind of like, okay, I want them weeknight, like a couple nights a week. And the week, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. Okay, I want to add another day. So at this point, I'm just like, no, like we need to do like alternate weekends. And I had to bust out with this calendar and figure this out every other weekend thing. So right now it changes all the time.
Got it.
You know, he wants more time with the kids. I want more time with the kids.
Mhm.
And it's tough, but I think I told him if we cannot come to an agreement with how we want our custody schedule to be like, then I have no choice but to just take you to court and do it that way. And we'll see.
But it is tougher for you guys because you guys live close by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and he's very flexible. We switch schedules all the time, but I think now, a year in, he's starting to realize like the schedule isn't it for me. I want the kids more. Violet's in school now, So that it's tough.
Now, another subject is you co-parent, because obviously your life doesn't stop outside of your kids. Does the impact of work or dating come into play as you co-parent? There's silence.
To
Go
me,
ahead, Peter.
I would say no. It wouldn't come. No, I would say no.
When you say no, what do you mean no? Like it doesn't come into play? Like, well, because you and Raina are pretty clear of like, that's none of your business.
Correct.
And so you both kind of keep that outside of the co-parenting.
Correct. So when I started dating Debbie, and when I was knowing that I was getting serious, I had a conversation with my oldest, and I'm like, hey, this is the person I'm dating, and this is who she is, and this and that. But we keep it very private, and we keep it very, very separate when it come to that. And we make sure the kid understand what's what adults needs and stuff like that. So I make sure I made it clear to my son, like, hey, you're gonna meet Auntie Debbie, and you're gonna make sure I'm gonna introduce you to them, and introduce you and Mia to them.
Did you talk
to you guys.
Did you have to talk to Raina first, though?
That was my
I did.
question.
I
Okay.
did.
So you talked to Raina first,
yes,
to let her know that you're gonna introduce me to them.
Correct. And she was very open to it, and she understand, and she's like, okay, and we both agree on it, and then that's when the kids meet.
Did she have a feeling? And I don't know, because I've heard certain people feel
Debbie,
like.
my question is, did you meet Raina before you met the kids, or did you meet the kids first?
Met Raina as I met the kids.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask, is she was pretty easygoing. Did she actually need to meet me or want to meet me, or it just so happened that she met me?
No, she did wanted to meet you, but she wanted to see you when we pick up the kid, and she was like, okay, let me see how Debbie is. And after we pick up the kids, and she was like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get feedback from my kids, so she doesn't mind that, like, I don't need to know her first. I'm gonna know from my kids, because JV and Mia is old enough to.
And they're the ones that are going to be around her. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to ask, because I think in some relationships, the other parent is going to be like, hey, I'm really protective of my kids. I don't want any new person to come into their life. I want to meet them first. Yeah. So in Raina's case, I think it's a combination of, you're pretty picky and choosy of who you introduce to your kids.
Correct.
Number one. So she's aware of that.
Correct.
And then number two, your kids are old enough to let her know whether or not it was a good meet or not.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Very
got
correct.
And how about you, Debbie? So with John, did you have that conversation?
So with John, him and I had been broken up for a while, and I think one of the things, I was actually more concerned when Peter and I got together. I was actually more concerned of Vanessa, because she was actually at an age where she was a teen, and she's pretty strong-willed. She has her own opinion, and she made it very clear that she was quite happy with mommy just being single and having mommy all to herself. So when I was dating Peter, I was actually more concerned on how Vanessa would take it. John and I did talk because he was aware that Peter was in my life and we were getting serious. And he was obviously expressed concern because he had a daughter, because of his daughter. So he expressed his concern to me, but ultimately he knew it was my decision. I had to also reassure him, like, hey, I'm not just bringing any guy in front of her. We're obviously moving forward with our relationship and we're committed. So that's kind of how our situation went. We just had like that one conversation. He spoke his mind. He was aware I was going to do whatever I was going to do anyways, but he felt the need to just be mindful of bringing another person into Vanessa's life.
And Mel, we had a little bit of this conversation when we had our porch conversation outside.
Yes. So for me, it was more of where in the beginning when we first, broke up. So actually my ex-husband filed the divorce, right? So we had 5 years to actually see if like we could work things out before it got finalized. And then I ended up actually finalizing the divorce. And so during that period, we were dating other people. And I remember being on Match and, I found this person that I dated. He was a fireman. And so I remember my ex being upset with that, right? So I didn't tell him, hey, by the way, I'm dating this person now and I'm going to introduce the kids to this person. So I didn't feel like I needed to do that. Our relationship at that time wasn't all that great. So I didn't really care for him to know. He was dating girls too. And I remember meeting one at the kids' carnival at their school or something like that. So it wasn't a formal introduction. But throughout
So are you saying in your case, you actually didn't feel like you needed to notify him?
Not at all.
So that's different.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong.
Nothing
like
wrong.
You just didn't feel like, why?
He
We're
needed
not
to. Yeah, exactly. We're not together. You're the one that initiated this. You wanted to maybe see what was out there or we weren't aligned. But for me, I just kind of felt like, well, you know what? Well, forget you. I'm going to, move on. I'm going to, find someone that I could be happy with, etc. And so, after, my divorce, there were like, I had 2 relationships. So one with a firefighter and then my current partner right now. We've been together for such a long time. This person just happens to be my best friend's brother-in-law. So everything just clicked, right? And the kids get along with him so well. They pretty much grew up with this person as well. It was kind of tough in the beginning because I could tell that my ex-husband really didn't want to have the kids around my current partner. I just remember how even like when they would, casually see each other, it was just like a quick shake or there wasn't any effort made by my ex-husband, right? But now, since it's been a while, only now recently has there been actually engagement between my ex-husband and my current partner, which really helps to make, the dynamics of our relationship and the kids, feel at ease. Because sometimes they would be like kind of walking on eggshells if we're together, like, oh my God, daddy's calling, or, they just kind of feel in the middle. So I think, for me, I never felt the need to say, hey, I'm dating someone. It was my own personal business. Anything that related to the kids, that's really when, I needed to like kind of pull him in.
Got it. How about you, Liza?
Well, so I'm newly dating. I know if David wouldn't be okay with me bringing someone in the kids' lives, and I'm totally fine with that because I know that when I started dating, I told myself my dating life and my life with my kids, my personal life, I want to keep it separate for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a committed relationship right now. And even when I met David, I think we were together for a year before I even let him meet Haley, who was 4 at the time. So, I'm just very cautious about things like that. As far as like a dating perspective and my schedule, so I have the kids every other weekend now. It does make it challenging dating because I have come across a couple guys that were like, oh, I can only see you every other weekend.
And that's off
It's
your
not-
schedule.
Yeah, it's not sustainable for me. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you think. Like, if someone really wants to date me, they're gonna
figure
make it
out.
work. So,
Yeah.
and then I just kind of like weed them out. Like, okay, well, if you don't like my, if you don't
Schedule.
understand my schedule, then bye.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to that time where I introduce somebody, that's a whole new level. And from the other side too, I think about that often, and that's the next step to us, co-parenting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it is a tough situation. I think for me, it definitely, there's a play on how old the kids are, right? Obviously from younger to if they're older, there's a different way of probably managing these types of situations. Because to me, I think if Vanessa wasn't at the age that she was, I never felt comfortable dating when she was younger. So that would have been hard for me, for sure. Now, it's working for you.
Yes.
I can tell you the relationship of your current and your ex is I have to tell you, sometimes it has. I can see how the kids walk on eggshells, right? Because they don't want to choose. They don't want their dad to feel a certain way. They don't want their uncle to feel a certain way. Now that they're in a different spot and they actually, can hang out and get along. Sometimes to a point where it's a little awkward for us because they actually get along pretty well.
That's great.
And so like sometimes, and it's unusual because it's just kind of like now we're uncomfortable because they're like really like hanging out. So I find that kind of just a different experience. It's great because I don't think now the kids feel like they have to choose.
Right. No, they're good. They're happy. As I said, it took a long time to get where Randy and I are right now. And it feels so much better. And maybe things had to go the way that they did. I don't think I would have changed anything because it wasn't forced. People just had to accept, current situations. Because I just remember like early part of our, when we broke up and everything like that, when I started dating, that's when Randy wanted me back. But at that point already I was hurt and I was ready to just move on. Right. And so, while I moved on and everything like that, you kind of learn from whatever experience that you had, whether it's like, okay, now I don't have like, a husband there. So really you had to, juggle, right? You had to juggle your work life, your personal life, your kids and providing for your family, etc. And now that and like you said, Debbie, it depends on when they're young too. Cause I remember when we first broke up, it was always about like, when is dad going to come home? What do you want for Christmas? Can you and daddy get back together? Go, anything else you want. I can't give you that. It's not that easy.
Yeah, their wish was you and daddy get back together. But now if you were to ask them, they'd be like, no, we don't want you guys back together.
Yeah, we're happy.
Yeah,
they're happy with how we are. We don't fight. Again, they're very fond of, my current partner right now. And again, I'm lucky to have the partner that I have because he's very understanding, right? He doesn't have any kids of his own as well. He has a really cute furry dog that calls me mommy. But other than that, he was never there to ever, have the kids feel that he was there to replace them. He was there as a friend, their buddy. They joke around. My youngest one is actually really like close to him as well. They share the same vibe and everything like that. And sometimes they both gang up on me, which is kind of like too much sometimes. But it'll take time. I think for you, Liza, it'll take time. You'll eventually get there, and you can set it up. Whatever the dynamics that works for you and your family. I know you get it from other people too, but it's like, you know what? Unless they're in our shoes, they won't know.
Yeah. They're not the ones in the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, very true. So like, we're kind of coming to time, but I just wanted to kind of circle back on, now kind of where you're at, what is your ideal, like as you move forward, right? Because your kids never stop being your kids. So like this co-parenting is something that doesn't stop when they turn 18, right? It will continue.
Yes.
So what is, and my question to you guys is, what is the state that you guys want to see in the future? Like as you move forward, what's that state look like? And I'm going to ping you, Mel, Liza, and Peter. You can think about that. Let Mel think on her feet here.
My state, I think right now, again, these are the early stages of where, my ex and my current partner are engaging a little bit more. And so my hope is for that to continue to flourish and improve. It just makes it easy on everybody. It gets challenging sometimes because there are, like, the kids are growing up. Like, my youngest had a really big event, this past year, and it was nice to actually have that moment where.
Don't you want to say what that event was?
Oh, okay. So
share for our
Okay.
listeners.
So my daughter actually participated in a Miss Philippine USA pageant.
Nice.
And she's the current reigning queen. She was the
So
third
cool.
runner-up. Yeah. So we were all proud.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
her.
We're really proud and excited for her. And so it was nice to just have, her dad there, as well as her uncle there, to just be part of this big moment in her life. And of course, we were sad that her brother, who's in Australia at school, wasn't there. But the people that really mattered, was able to attend and support her. So my hope is that continues to improve, flourish. And again, I mean, for the most part, I know that I've gone through so many different emotions, hurdles to get to this place. And I'm just hoping that, again, it'll only get better.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, we need
Thank
to
you.
get Bella on this.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The reigning queen, right? So, Peter, you had some time to think. Just thinking about it and thinking kind of ahead, where would you like to see you and Reina with your kids? Like the same state, getting better? Like what does that look like for you?
We both are on the same state. Our both of our kids are not at that teenage stage where we have disagreement or of anything. So I think the way me and Rainers are going is like, long as me and her, we both agree on what the future of our kids, and I think that's where we see when both of the kids grown up to make a decision and agree up on. And we haven't seen any disagreement between us two
So far.
And literally talking about it, she just texted me saying that Jay just got into trouble. So now
You want to read this text message?
Yeah, I have to be on the phone with her right after this podcast, and we're gonna see what the agreement is. So I think, as a co-parenting, I truly believe that both parents have a, verbal and neutral agreement, and long as the kids are happy, and I think that's what I'm looking forward for.
Yeah.
So.
Got it. I mean, I'm just trying to get on on Mel's level. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to, and like I said, David was my best friend. We were together for a long time, and I hope that we can get back into that relationship without the romantic part of it. And same thing with Peter. Like, I want to be on that level too, where we can text each other and be like, hey, this is what happened, or, text pictures of the kids, and just be civil. And, and I'm going to say this louder for the people in the back. It's like, if you're in this situation, keep whatever you have towards your partner, any animosity or hate, just keep that away from the kids. Really think about what's most important, and that's the kids.
So,
Yeah.
and thank you for that, because you're still going through it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
You're
a work
still-
in progress. Yeah.
Right. So just thinking about what you're saying, like how Reina contacted you. I noticed that she's really good about including you in these like type of situations.
Correct.
Because she still looks at you as their father figure.
Correct.
And making sure that you're involved, especially when there has to be a level of discipline,
Yes.
even though you don't even live with them.
Yes.
Right. So the disciplining, in your guys' case, does that switch off? Because obviously, you know, how did that work? Were you more of the discipline, or are you both disciplined, or how did that work with the co-parenting situation?
So me and David actually discipline the kids together now. I think that was our biggest thing when we were together was, you know, he didn't want to be the bad guy. I was always the bad person. I was always the one that was, you know, taking things away. And I think now he's realizing that we kind of have to be on the same team at this point, even if we live in separate households. So I think it's getting a little bit better. How about you, Mel?
I think like for Randy and I, and that's probably why we're not together, is we both had two different parenting styles, right? So I felt like I was like maybe the bad cop, he was the good cop. Like our value or philosophy on like rewarding the kids. I mean, okay, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I remember my 4-year-old, my oldest, before, like, who needs an iPhone at that time when the iPhones came out, right? And then she would lose the phone, then here's another iPhone. I know that he's a very hard worker, and everything that he's trying to do is to build a better future for our kids. And so I understand that, but the price that pays is him being away from the kids, right? Whether it's missing out on certain occasions in their lives. So they spend a lot of time with me, and I like to discipline like a certain way. I've been told, though, sometimes when I talk, I don't have a filter. So I could be talking like a bee, or I'm just direct to the point, right? And I do. I'm pretty transparent. Like, if I don't like, and Debbie knows this, if I like you, I like you. If I don't like you, I don't like you.
She's not good at faking.
Yeah. So I'll just, you can see it on my face if I'm like,
that's a good trait. Yeah.
She's not.
Yeah. So the kids get a little like afraid of that. And then I'm told like, well, you know, when you talk to the kids, you need to be a little bit more nicer, or, you know, don't tell the kids, like, don't scold the kids if something's happening, because it's going to ruin their, I don't know, let's say there's a big event or they're doing something fun or something like that. So, but to me, it's like, I want to be transparent, because in the real world, it's not like that, right?
So that's your philosophy.
That's
real
my
world.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. And I'm pretty upfront with, you know, I don't really sugarcoat when I tell my kids something, right? But again, we have these disagreements. And again, like, I think that also contributes to, it did contribute to, you know, why we're not together. But now that we're not together, we work very well as a team. You know?
Like me.
We work
Yeah.
very well as a team. I mean, yes, you know, unfortunately, like, our romantic relationship didn't work out, but as co-parents and as a team, you know, and now that they're older, I'm finding that we are now on the same page. Because before, I'm always like, why can't you support me? You know? And now he does that.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you guys for sharing.
Yes,
I know
thank
this
you.
is like, we can talk forever on this co-parenting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really appreciate you guys letting us in, because it's very personal.
Yeah.
And honestly, there is no right formula.
No.
Outside of what I've heard from all three of you guys, is it really is about the kids. And as long as you guys can both agree, the focus is on the kids and not all that noise. And also not what other people say, because everybody has an opinion on this. So whatever fits well for your family.
That's true. Everybody have their all different opinion.
Yeah.
It's like when me and my ex got separated, my mom have her own opinion. Her side of the family have her own opinion. To me, it's like, the way I look at it is, as long as the kids are happy.
Yeah.
That's all
all
that
that
matters.
matters.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
Mel.
having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.